go. What's happening, good people? How you doing? Welcome to the show, Black Fridays, the show where we'll focus on raising our children to be proud and black. I am your host, Freddie Taylor, the CEO and founder of Urban Intellectuals and the Sankofa Club, where we make it fun and easy to learn black history. We do this with a series of historical education products designed to write the black community back into the pages of world history and back into the hearts and the minds of our community. Welcome to the show, good people. Hopefully you're ready for a good one. We're going to talk about Rube Foster and the economic re-education is needed. Right? All right, y'all know what it is. Let me do a little bit of my housekeeping before we get started. If you're watching this on replay, most of you guys are going to catch this on replay. Please type replay in the comments. Just let us know that you're having fun and engaging with us. Even if you are watching this on replay or you're watching it live with me right now, please do me a favor and say hello to you guys. Let me know where you're watching from and how many children you have, right? What drew you to Urban Intellectuals and the Sankofa Club in the first place? Like, how did you get here? Share all that down in the comments. I love to come back and read the interactions. We had our first Sankofa Saturdays with our Sankofa Club members. It was wonderful to meet all of you, all of the parents out there doing wonderful things inside of the Sankofa Club, doing wonderful things inside of your family, passing along that heartbeat, right? Passing along that heartbeat to the next generation. Such an important job. Like always, we like to say, we're doing important work around here. All right, so I want to get stumbling towards the show, right? But Black Fridays, if you don't know by now, is an 8-part series that we're focusing on black history and empowerment and passing along this information to our children. The show is designed, it's a bit differently, right? We're always doing something a little different, but there's 3 different parts to the show, right? There's a discussion section, there's a reason section, and there's a task section. I got something over here is really distracting me. All right, there we go. And there's a task section, right? So in the discussion section is what you're about to get right now. It's my presentation on this particular topic, Rube Foster and our economic education. The reason section is me explaining why I think that this particular talker, this person, Rube Foster, and what the conversation, the story around him is important to pass along to our children. Why children need to know this information, right? Why our children need to know this information. And then finally, the task section where we're going to give you some assignments, right? Some things to follow up on and make all of this more of an impactful experience for you, right? All right, if y'all with me and you ready to move on, let me get you ready in the comments, right? You ready for the next one? Like, we're going to keep moving this along. And you know, I always got to mention our sponsor, the Sankofa Club. You see us right over here. I guess I should move this way a little bit. So they're our sponsor, and it's our sister company, the Sankofa Club. But it is basically a resource to allow parents to educate their children in black history and culture. We make it fun and easy for you to do that. When you join and become a member, you get instant access inside of the Sankofa Club that includes Black History worksheets and activities, and even classes taught 5 days a week by our teachers. That's right. All you have to do is click on and allow our 20 to 30 minute or so sessions 5 days a week by our teachers pour into your children. As I mentioned, we had an opportunity to meet with our first Sankofa Saturdays, right? Our first Sankofa Saturday. It was wonderful, right? So it was really good to engage with the parents and kind of get we met over Zoom, so we got an opportunity to discuss face to face, right? And back and forth, more of a back and forth matter rather than you commenting below to engage with me, right? All right. But unfortunately, we have the Sankofa Club closed right now, right? We're not accepting members right now. But we want you to join our mailing list, right? So sankofaclub.com/Black Fridays, sankofaclub.com/Black Fridays. You can join the mailing list to get our updates about the show and our pending Black Friday offer, right? Okay, the holiday shopping season is coming. We got something special planned, but only for people that join us, right? You're going to have to get on our special list in order to get this opportunity to grab these crazy deals that we have coming up, right? That's all I'm going to give you for that, right? Let's get into the content, Freddie. Freddie, you just, you over here talking and selling and all of this stuff. Let's dig into the content As you know, we live by the mantra of 5 minutes a day keeps the miseducation away. 5 minutes a day keeps the miseducation away. If you're always with me on that, let me get 5 minutes in the comments. We know that it just takes 5 minutes of engaging our children, our young people with their history and their culture, and it would put that heartbeat back in them, right? You know I'm going to end and talk about that, but it's going to put it in them just by learning little bits and pieces about our history and building bits and pieces of pride in themselves, right? There we go. Stumbling, but Freddie gets it out. Let's go. Let's dig into the reason that we came here today. We're coming fresh off of Malcolm X in our last discussion, mainly over his ballot or the bullet discussion, but we talked about empowerment. We talked about a need for control. We talked about black nationalism, and I want to continue that discussion today with the brother Andrew Rube Foster, right? Andrew Rube Foster. Now, many of you might not be aware of this individual, so let me go back. How far back, Freddie? Way back, and give you a little bit more history and a little bit of background about him, okay? Okay, so Andrew Foster was born September 17th, 1879. I find that like a lot of the individuals that we've been doing here on Black Fridays were born in the late 1800s, right? 1870s, 1880s, right? You think about Garvey. We talked about Mary McLeod Bethune. I was hitting you with Arturo Schomburg. All of these people are in this, born around this time frame. It's interesting. Maybe I got an infatuation with that time period of Reconstruction. I don't know. That was subconscious, by the way. All right, so he was born in Calvert, Texas, right? To Andrew and Evelyn Foster. I don't have my glasses on. Andrew and Evelyn Foster, right? He was the fourth of 6 children. We're really sad. Only he and one other sibling are the only 2 that lived into adulthood. That's man, that's pretty tragic, right? But Andrew loved baseball. His life was baseball. He was all about baseball. He was infatuated with the sport as a kid, grew up with it, and was pretty darn good, by the way. In fact, he dropped out of 8th grade to start playing baseball with the Waco Yellow Jackets at the time, right? So I know when we think about Negro League baseball, we think about just like one league, right? But I found out that it really was fragmented and it was different leagues at different time periods, right? But we kind of lump them all together. But I'm gonna get into that a little bit deeper, right? So anyway, he's playing for the Waco Yellow Jackets, and he's pretty good. He's only in the 8th grade, but by the time he turned 17, he went full time, right? He went full time with the Waco Yellow Jackets and was even on their travel team, right? So when he was younger, he was just playing locally. But as he turned 17, he started traveling with the Yellow Jackets, right? And I just think Reconstruction, right? But public education wasn't a big thing, particularly in our community, and even the value of education wasn't what it is now. It didn't lead to all the massive opportunity that we think about now, right? It's like you go learn this school stuff, but then what is that good for? Because white people ain't about to hire you based on them books, right? So that's where, it was like practical education versus the classical education was always the conversation during the time. And Foster was just, Rube was all about this baseball, right? So anyway, he's out traveling baseball, and he joins in 1902. I'm going to have to find my glass. In 1902, he joins the Chicago Union, known as, okay. I subconsciously grabbed him, right? So he joins the Chicago Union Giants, also known as the Leland Giants, in 1901, excuse me. Now, 1902, I'm just going to blaze through these, right? Because he played a lot of baseball on a lot of different teams, right? And learning his craft along the way. So, 02, he switches to the Union Giants of Philadelphia. 02 is when he picks up the name Rube. This was pretty interesting. So, he picks up the name Rube in 1902, right? Wow, okay. Pitches up, yeah. So he out-pitches the White Star Rube Waddell of the Philadelphia Athletics in the exhibition game they were playing, right? So earning himself the nickname Rube that he saw and he wore as a trophy, right? That's the story, right? Okay, where the name Rube Foster comes from, and I got to be honest, before I didn't dig all the way into that. I hadn't paid all of that attention, but okay, so that's where he got the name. So that was pretty interesting to me. 03, he joins the Cuban Giants, also of Philadelphia, and helps them win their first Black World Series, right? Rube was pretty darn good. This is what I learned coming out of this as well. He was a pretty darn good baseball player and a pitcher. And a lot of people think that he might have been one of the best of all times, right? So in 04, he rejoins the Giants and helped them win the World Series over the Cuban X Giants, right? But it gets interesting around this time because he's doing stuff of legends up on the mound. In fact, he created a pitch called the fadeaway. Modern day, we call it the screwball. This was a Rube Foster invention, and he was using it to dominate. Like at some point, like his teams won like 100 games in a row type thing. Like it was just bananas, like the record, the feat that he was putting up inside of baseball, right? But there's a story of Christy Matheson getting taught the screwball by Rube Foster. John McGraw, manager of the New York Giants, sneaks Rube into MLB camp, so that he can work with their young pitcher, Christy Matheson. Matheson throws that screwball all the way to the Hall of Fame. And of course, the man, the myth, the legend, Rube Foster gets no inclusion, no mention. In fact, they all try to downplay the reality of that chain of events, right? So it's just really interesting. Just something else, like we never get any credit for some things that we are doing when all we look for is equality and honesty, right? But all right, y'all know the story. Let's keep going. Keep going, Freddie. Keep going. 1907 was a pretty interesting time in his existence because he joins the Leland Giants, both as a manager and a player. And this was the first time that he did that. But his shrewd negotiation and business skills start to peak around this time. In fact, when he comes over to the Giants, he negotiates bringing some of his players from his team with him, right? Because he knew these players was really good. He wanted to manage them as well, and he knew he could win, and win is just what they did. In 1911, he formed a partnership with Scorchling to create the Chicago American Giants. Foster called it his greatest team he've ever assembled. So he's basically working with somebody white to form, to work and start building on the enterprise, right? Okay, so he's building coalitions, building teams, he's managing players and all of this, right? But he also was integrating the, not only the ownership level of baseball in general, but he was bringing black people jobs all throughout the ranks. So the managers, the trainers, the physicians that was hired, the people working the stands, the ticket booth, everybody in the economy, in the ecosystem, they're grabbing black-owned products, stocking the venues with our food, all of our snacks and stuff like that, feeding into the economy, right? So you gotta the people in the stands were just as important as the players on the field because it's a whole economy and a whole ecosystem that's being created around these traveling baseball games, right? It's really big, and Rube was serious about raising the opportunity for his players and raising their fees and their wages. They talk about him being a serious taskmaster, but on the field to try and win, which I'm gonna get into that just a little bit. But it was a bigger thing going on, right? This economy is really happening around Negro baseball, especially as it grows. So 1919, there's some riots in Chicago going on. There's civil unrest. Oh my goodness, the people that you enslaved for hundreds of years are not satisfied with your minimum shows of freedom and equality, right? We still here in 2020 looking for freedom and equality. You can imagine what it was like 100 years ago, right? Okay. Rube says, he gets with some of the other black team owners and says, man, look, let's stop playing these little games in these other little people baseball arenas. Let's form our own league and let's bring our black businesses together and work together in unison, right? All right. Black economics. This is what Rube was all about. This is what my man Garvey behind me was talking about, right? This is what Malcolm X was saying in the last speech, right? It's time for some group economics. Up, you mighty nation. It's time for us to start working together. And this is what Rube is beating into the hearts of the people around him. So they formed 8-team league, the Negro National Negro League, right? Negro National League. There we go, backwards. NNL, right? But this is this is the black own Negro league that he owned, right? So there were other leagues going on as well. We just kind of lump them all together as the Negro leagues, right? But there's actually multiple leagues, right? So the Negro National League is Rube's league, and it was formed in 1920. 1922, he was orchestrating exhibition games throughout Japan. They was over there kicking butt. You know, Japan has always been into baseball, right? So the Negroes come over and play some ball and get down, right? The Eastern Colored League is formed in 1923. And then Rube tried to incorporate that particular Negro League into one bigger one. They was resistant. They wanted to keep their league. But then they started forming in 1924 the Black World Series, right? And the Kansas City Monarchs actually beat the Philadelphia Hilldale Club for the official first Negro World Series, right? 1924. They played the series for a couple of years while everything is going on, right? But Rube is all about coalitions and building and growing and ownership and bringing up, you know, the economic ecosystem and sharing the wealth around and spread it around in the community. In fact, when he formed the Negro National League, his teams were so good, they like dominated the first couple of years. I think the first 3 years or 4 years, they won the championship. But Rube knew that if just one team just dominated and it wasn't good, honest competition, the fans gonna get bored, right? So what did he do? He started trading away his good players so that they could play on the other teams to raise the competition level, right? To balance the field out rather than just trying to win every year and just, oh, we're so dominant, we're so good. Wait a minute. It's going to, if I allow them to go out of business, we all going to hurt. That ecosystem that's put up around Harlem is going to hurt. That ecosystem built around the Detroit Stars is going to hurt. I got to figure out a way to allow them to win too. Let me give away some of my good players and help them form, right? And he was such an innovator, right? So the Negro game at the time was starting to surpass in popularity the Major League Baseball game. My daddy told me about this in the 30s and the 40s. This is the evolution of it. But it started because of the excited brand of baseball that they played. So instead of the lumpy, big Babe Ruth, trying to knock a home run out and you got to stop Babe from knocking home runs out or whatever, the Negro National League played a different brand of baseball. Really, Rube Foster fostered a different brand of baseball with bunts and stealing, fast, high-paced games. So, like, I think about Ozzie Smith back, in the 80s when he played for the Cardinals, right, 1980s. He would run out and he would do a backflip, right? So they talk about how all of this entertainment was, how we are when we get involved in something, right? We go put our funk on it, right? So base stealing. They talk about Rube's teams being so aggressive. They would bunt to get on first base for y'all that know baseball. Then they would steal second base. They'd steal third base if you're sleeping. And if you're not really paying attention, they would steal home, right? So just a whole exciting and different type of baseball was being played, with the innovative pitches that is coming up and the discipline. Y'all know, as soon as I turn that record, as soon as we turn on and get in front of you, I get to sweating, right? So that's kind of like the story and the stuff that's going on around him. Now, the tragedy comes in 1925. Rube was exposed to a gas leak in Indianapolis at his home, and it really started to, mess with his health. And his health really started to decline. In fact, in 1926, the next year, he was placed in a state asylum in Kankakee with a nervous breakdown. And he just never really got right after that. He died in 1930 of a heart attack. They say 3,000 people attended his funeral, but pretty much the Negro National League that he built died with him along in 1930. It got, absorbed. Other teams bought teams. They split up. Rube was really the heartbeat, behind all of that. And it was just really unfortunate for that to transpire because later again, all of these other these Negro leagues are going on around the country, and the talent level is really starting to rise, and people are really starting to notice other names out there, and they're starting to appreciate some of the players, right? The list is starting to grow, right? You got your Jackie Robinsons, Larry Dalby, Roy Campanella, Satchel Paige, all of these big timers that we know are coming onto the scene, and they're starting to get their names. Now we're into the 30s and in the early 40s, right? But what else is going on around this time now? Think about our Black Fridays talks. Think about it. right? Integration is happening. The push for integration. We're so rushed trying to rush and get into white society, right? As a girl, Akilah Richards talks about, that proximity to whiteness being our letter of success. That didn't just start today, right? That was way back, right? Particularly in the 40s. They're leaning in and pushing, right? Oh my goodness, we got white flight and all of this stuff is starting to transpire, and black people are trying to get into their economy, right? But we were trying to get into their economy so bad we were neglecting ours, right? We talked about it last week. Malcolm, we needed not only a political re-education because we keep waiting on the Democrats or somebody else to save us instead of doing for self. If we would have started 60 years ago doing for self, we would have had a lot more today. If we would have started when Rube was talking about it, we would have a lot more today. If we don't start it today, we're going to be in trouble 60 years from now, right? Well, your grandchildren going to be in trouble 60 years from now, right? Or your great-grands even are going to be in trouble that amount of period from now, right? So we need to start doing something different. And this was what Rube was talking about. But instead of that happening, ownership, all the Negro teams was raped and pillaged, right? They was plucked and all of their best talent was snatched up and grabbed. And it all started with Jackie Robinson in 1947, April 15th, 1947. Jackie Robinson goes to the Brooklyn Dodgers, right? But see, they didn't merge the leagues, right? They didn't say, oh, y'all got 16 teams. We got 20 teams. All right, let's just merge into 30 total teams and all of us. And you keep your ownership, I keep my ownership, or y'all get 8 teams and we got 12 teams and then we're going to move in. They didn't do that. They just went in and picked out all the good talent. And with all the good talent gone, the league starts to fall. Everybody starts watching damn Major League Baseball, and now all the eyeballs go back over there. What happens to the economy that was the ecosystem that was set up around that Rube was doing? It's gone, right? Like Malcolm was said, don't be complaining about the poor conditions in your neighborhood. You the one that abandoned it. You stop spending your money in your neighborhood, right? And you stop allowing the talent and the ownership to be in your neighborhood. You did that. Don't blame that on nobody else. Nobody told you to do that. That's why we need a re-education, an economic re-education. We got to understand that every dollar that you spend outside your community weakens your community and strengthens that community. When all that talent flooded out of the Negro leagues, it enriched their community and it pulverized us. Sure, Jackie Robinson got some notoriety and fame. Satchel Paige got some notoriety and fame at the end of his career after he was still dominated. Right, Roy Campanella, all of these individuals started to get some notoriety and fame, but what did it do for us as a whole? So don't tell me what Oprah Winfrey got or Jay-Z got or LeBron is doing. You can just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. There's millions of us out here hurting. What is it doing for us as a whole? If your education don't get you to serve your people, then throw it away. Rube Foster was about serving his people. He was about building the business. See, serving your people ain't all about just handing out freebies and milk and feeding and soup for the homeless and stuff like that. Those are wonderful ways of service. But as Mary McLeod Bethune showed you, you can build a business or build a school and you can educate your people, right? Think about all the people that she hired. You can build a business and serve your people. Think about what Rube Foster was doing, was fighting for higher wages, was bringing in ownership and inclusion at every level, providing for his people. Think about A.G. Gaston, the Black Titan. You don't got no civil rights movement if individuals like him don't build a business empire and then fund the damn movement. When Dr. King was coming down to Montgomery, Alabama and meeting, they was meeting in A.G. Gaston's hotels. They was grouping up in his boarding houses, his rooming houses. He was negotiating with the city and the state to try to hold him back because they respected his business and his enterprise. You got to have a whole ecosystem. We need everything. And we can't continue to neglect our economics. We can't allow people to come in and pick and poach all of our best talent. We got to start focusing it together. We got to start working together. You got to start spending your money together. Listen, I'm not telling you to purchase from black businesses because they black. I'm telling you to purchase from black businesses that operate in excellence. There's a difference. If they black, I say give them a chance. But if they're not going to operate in excellence, then, don't give them your business. But don't give them more than one chance. You go to a white-owned business or a Korean-owned old hair store, they treat you like dirt and you come back. So stop doing that to us. If they're in the community and they got a business open, go there and patronize them. If it's poor per service, say something about it and say, look, we're going to expect you, going to give you 30 days to change this, or we're going to run you out of business. We need you to succeed, brother. We need you to succeed, sister. Like Malcolm was talking about last week in the Ballad of the Bullet, right? Woolworth didn't start off as an international organization. It was a 5 and dime store. Walmart picked up their same idea. It was small business. GM started the same way in a garage. Think about Apple in the garage. Think about Bezos in his garage. Think about all these big businesses today. They don't just start that way. They start small. They selling peanuts and then they start growing. Then they get a peanut factory, right? They start growing. They start hiring more people. It only can happen if you pour into the business. If you stop spending your money, there ain't no damn chance. We're so busy being jealous of what somebody else is doing or getting. We're not seeing that this individual can build an enterprise, that your nieces and nephews, your cousins and your children can go over there and get an internship. They can get an apprenticeship. They can find a mentor. We got to build these businesses up so we can help our unemployment rate. You know why our unemployment rate's so high? Because we ain't got no damn businesses to hire ourselves. Why are you expecting somebody else to do it? You got to do it. You can't neglect your community and then expect somebody else to bail you out. And that's what we've been doing. You've been voting, hoping, and praying. It's time that you can do all three of them. But you better be doing for self in the meantime. Now, I'm fortunate enough to be around a system of black entrepreneurs where we say the conversation is always different when you're sitting with winners. I sit around black businesses. For my mentor runs this organization, Lamar Tyler, Traffic Sales and Profit. Wonderful community of black business owners that's operating in excellence. Don't tell me ain't no black businesses out here doing it right. They out here getting it done. I see them every day. We meet. We mastermind, we grow together, we help one another, we lift one another up, we share information with one another, and we hold each other to a higher standard. That's out here happening. That's out here happening. And it's going to be more of these. Look, just because you can't see Black Wall Street, don't mean it ain't around no more. I got to pivot a little bit the camera just so you can see this brother right here. O.W. Gurley. O.W. Gurley bought the 40 acres of land in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and parsed it out and then specifically sold it to black business owners and black people to buy and build a community. He bought that 40 acres. He wasn't giving it like we was promised. He bought that 40 acres, parsed it up in his community, and then built it. But just because you don't see Black Wall Street no more, don't mean that it's not happening. It ain't on no towns and no streets. It's happening via the internet and the connection, but it's a whole lot of small business out here doing the right thing. And they need your support. Not because they black, because they operate in excellence. Stop that. But as they build and as they grow, they got an understanding and an education of their people. They understand that heartbeat. If they understand that they not have to operate in excellence to earn your respect, they want your respect, they deserve your respect, then give it to them. Because as they grow, they can create them jobs. They can create them internships. They can create that mentorship, that apprenticeship that your baby's gonna need. You pushing your baby into STEAM, where are STEAMs? Where are scientific and technological firms that's gonna hire your babies? Our unemployment rate is ridiculous. It's ridiculously high. And it's mainly because we neglected our economics. I don't know how else to say it. It ain't because racist white people this and that. And yet none of that they did helped. And Trump, no, it didn't help. But Obama can't save you. Kamala can't save you. Biden ain't gonna save you. The Democrats done showed you over 60 years. They're not about to save you. I just feel like, damn, what else we gotta go through before we start saving ourselves? I'm mad. I wish I had my other shirt on, because the other shirt that the brother Lamar puts out, it says, "We the ones we've been waiting for." It's time to stop waiting. Let's get in the spirit of brothers like Rube Foster that understand you could change your economy. We just got to dig in. We got to find the entrepreneurs that deserve your support and like, let's build and encourage them. Everybody's not a captain of industry. Everybody don't want to build a dynasty. Everybody don't want an organization that's hiring tens of thousands of people or even hundreds of people or even 10. But you can support them. You can buy their products. We got to start doing for self. We got to be able to feed and clothe ourselves, right? We got to be able to protect ourselves. We got to protect ourselves economically. You cannot move into a Chinatown in any city in this country, open up a business and think somebody's about to patronize you. The first thing they're going to wonder is, how in the world did this Negro get this building? And who are they? Who is she to think that had the audacity to open up something in our community and we gonna support them? We gonna put dollars in your pocket and not in our pocket? You out your mind. They looking at you like you crazy. It's the same way in the Italian community, the Russian community, the Jewish community. Go open a store in their community and see if they gonna give you some business. You gotta be kidding me. But let anybody open up the store in our community other than us. If we gonna open up the business, you don't want to patronize. We gotta cut that out. I know a business owner, south side of Chicago, south side of Chicago. He owns a few retail business locations. He's like, man, Fred, these $1 million spots. Each business, they taking in $1 million. People buying it. He said, but I put black people behind the counter and run the store. They won't shop. He said, so I go get the Mexicans. I put the Mexicans in there. They work. People come in, they shop, and they buy. I think that's terrible. What is wrong with us? It's time to wake up, man. It's time to wake up. But we got to put stories like Rube Foster into the belly of our children, right? I'm sorry I got fired up. I got off beat. I'm a little long right now. But we got to wake up. But we need to tell the story of Rube Foster to our children because, one, passion. Passion. I got to write that down. I want to come back to that. Passion. This brother was all in the baseball. He found his joy. He found his glee. And he remained on the cutting edge of it. He was serious about it in every way as a player, and he was an innovator. He was a hard worker. As a coach, he was an innovator. He was a hard worker. As a taskmaster, as an owner, he was an innovator. He was a hard worker, and he believed in helping his people. He understood the economics, right? So passion, innovation, and economics. Those are the reasons that you need to talk to our young people about this brother, Rube Foster. And use the stories that I told to make the connections that we're talking about. Now, when you join SankofaClub.com/Black Fridays, I'm going to give you the rest of the information and the rest of the story as it comes out. There's a book that I do want to alert you to if you want to get further than not only into this brother Rube, but to get a real understanding about sports and business in this country. $40 Million Slaves, William Roden. Yeah. About to blow your mind. I don't watch the NFL thanks to the Kaepernick thing. That was it. That was the nail in the coffin. But when we started lining up the coffin and putting the top on and start lining up them wood, that wood, and we started banging them in, it was this book. I read this book about 15 years ago. And it's going to blow your mind. But it's really kind of like an anthology of sports in America. It's really interesting. And what it starts with, that's a question for you. If you know, type it below. What's the very first sport in America, right? They talk about it in this book. Woo! I can't wait. I want to see who knows that answer. What's the very first sport in America? But look, go find that out. Read this book. These are tasks. Read this book. Go find out what the very first sport in America was. And then let's talk about it. Post it in the page, post it in the group. And let's talk about it. I want to hear about that. I want you to, a second task, I want you to identify 5 black businesses that you're going to support this Black Friday. I want you to get 5 black businesses. That you are going to support for Black Friday. List them below. If you know them right now, shout them out down below. Put links up. Like, let's go on and spread the word. Let's get it right, right? And then finally, of course, join the SankofaClub.com/Black Fridays. Because frankly, hopefully you put Urban Intellectuals and the Sankofa Club as at least one of the companies on your list, because we are gonna have an insane Black Friday offer for you. I'm fired up and excited to share it with you. All right, good people. I want you to know we got to put the heartbeat back into our young people so that we can get right and we can get hitting on all cylinders, so that we can wake that mighty nation, so that the ancestors not only will be proud, but they'll be ready for you to set your shoulders so the next generation can stand on you. Only if you're ready, though. If you're ready, you're going to continue to learn this information. We're going to get our political re-education. We're going to get our economic re-education. We're going to start working on ourselves. But more importantly, we're going to put it in our babies. And when we put it in our babies, they going to do the same for theirs. And pretty soon that heartbeat is strong again. Black nationalism is the call. We got to start doing for self. Ain't nobody going to save us. The conversation is always different when you're sitting with winners. Well, guess what? Historically, as a people, we are winners. We coming out of the storm right now. Slavery isn't Black history. Slavery is interrupted Black history, right? Who were we before we were colonized? Let's get back to it, right? We winners. That's what you got to know. That's what you got to pass on to your babies. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We got to do for self. You know what it is, good people. Until next time, love, peace, and Black power.